Hello, welcome to another episode of Awakening with Soulspirational. My name is Tish, and today I want to talk about lightening your spiritual load, letting go of some of the baggage that we're carrying. So, in my journey of some 20 years, some of you already know this, I have learned quite a bit over this time. And one of the greatest things that I found is how much baggage that I'm carrying from other people. So baggage that I'm carrying that my parents gave to me, not with intent, but nonetheless had given to me. Maybe with language that they shouldn't have used, behaviors towards me that were inappropriate. And in essence, when I look back on this, I see it, the way that I kind of picture it in my mind is that when I was a kid and one of these situations would arise that my parents, maybe they were having a bad day, they were upset about something, life in general, when one of them would lash out on me, and it was almost like my arms were out and they placed their baggage, their box of stuff in my arms to carry. And then with every situation or circumstance going through, I had a very dysfunctional and toxic childhood, family. And so it was like these boxes were just building. I just didn't realize it. I didn't see it. So as I continued to take on the baggage of others, it was almost as though, at some point things were being hung around my shoulders, around my feet, where I even felt like something was holding me back in life and I didn't know what it was. And then upon reflecting during my healing journey, seeing that some of the stuff that I've been carrying, knowing that it isn't mine, it gave me the liberation, the freedom to drop some of this baggage. Again, that isn't even mine to carry. I have also found, besides my parents, some siblings, friends, different relationships, also from my abusers, and this is one of the biggest ones for me. So it was as if, when I reflect on it, when I think about my abusers, the way that they were able to mask or to hide, sometimes even almost like a chameleon, it's almost as if they didn't take on the guilt and shame, but instead they said, here, you take it because I can't deal with it. So as the victim, I'm carrying the guilt and shame, the embarrassment, whatever it may be, from my abuser. And in some of these situations, not only was I carrying this baggage of my abuser, but even of my family to a certain extent, because my parent or parents didn't want people to know what had happened to me. Almost like, I don't know if it was a guilty by association or whatever it was at the time. And I'm talking 30, 40 years ago. Thankfully, society has evolved quite a bit since then, but nonetheless, it was the added pressure, the added baggage that I was to carry because of, the guilt or the shame that I could put upon the family, even though I was the victim. When I realized that, then I was able to take control. And realizing that, I had a few different abusers, so looking at the different abusers and recognizing which box, what baggage was theirs, and being able to let it go by simply saying, you know what, this isn't my guilt or my shame to carry. I didn't do this. I was not the perpetrator. I am going to let this go. Now, I'm not telling you that this is the end-all be-all. This is not something where I'm saying that I'm going to, cure or treat anything. And in fact, you may find the information in here today, if it's helpful to you, you may even want to seek out a mental health professional as you're going through cleansing, or a spiritualist or life coach, somebody like myself to help you. That way you know that you don't have to do this alone. But the reason behind this, or what helped me, is knowing that, first of all, becoming consciously aware that I'm holding on to somebody else's energy. And yucky energy. I don't want other people's guilt and shame. It isn't mine. I already feel guilt or shame or embarrassment for other things that I did completely and totally on my own. So why do I need to carry that of my abusers with me as well? Same thing, my father was an alcoholic. So then the whole codependency thing, and again, that is multifaceted. But knowing that in some of these boxes or the baggage that I've been carrying was a result of my father's alcoholism, again, was very liberating to say, you know what? That's how things were then. I didn't know that I could drop it. I didn't know I could push back. I didn't know all of this stuff. So now I'm releasing it. I found that by doing this and doing deeper soul searching and really getting into the energy of things, being able to come to a place of forgiveness for myself and for my parents, for my abusers, because I also recognized that I didn't want to stay in a place of victimhood. There came a point where, I transcended that to being a survivor and feeling the strength in a survivor. And then transcending that, even that these experiences happened and they don't define me. I had incredible social anxiety because growing up, because I thought that everybody looked at me and just knew all these horrible things that happened to me. I wanted to be part of the wallpaper, so to speak. I didn't want people to see me. And in fact, I am still working through some of the energies of the past with that. But it's that conscious recognition that I am holding on to something that doesn't belong to me. So I'm going to ask for you, if it's right for you, to start paying attention. One of the things that we can do is listen to the negative self-talk. So if maybe we want to apply for a job and we hear this negativity, you aren't worthy, you don't deserve. Think about who planted those words into your mind. And when I'm doing this, I listen carefully. Can I make out, is this a female voice? Is this a male voice? And then I can kind of narrow it down to, I oftentimes can find out who the source was of those words. And sometimes it was multiple people who said similar things. Once I can get to a place of recognizing who said it, sometimes what I'll do is see if I can remember, if there's a memory that pops up when this person said whatever it was to me, so that I can do a little deeper healing on that particular memory. The other thing that I'll do, maybe I don't have time to stop and really think about it, process it, but I hear the negative self-talk. I just imagine pulling those words out of my ears. I'm just pulling them out because I recognize that just because somebody said something doesn't make it true. Somebody can tell me that I am a worthless human being and I don't deserve anything good in my life. That doesn't make it my truth. Just because somebody said something to me, regardless of my age, does not make their words true for me, for my soul, for my life, for my journey. And to be able to say, boy, those people were entitled to their opinion. And oftentimes, even when I go back and do place the words with a particular memory, it was somebody who was pretty miserable in their own life. Or maybe they were having a bad day and they lashed out and said things to me that were inappropriate, or their behaviors were inappropriate. Just recognizing that and realizing that these aren't my words. This isn't my truth. And maybe that's why even my soul is struggling so much, because I'm trying to fit in a narrative that isn't true to me. So there's this incompatibility, there's this upset within my energy because the words are coming in and my mind is picking them up, but my soul is saying, this isn't right. This isn't who you are. It doesn't mean that I haven't done things, as you said, that I feel guilt or shame or embarrassment over, because I have. I've had quite the experiences of my lifetime. But I want to own those. I do not want to own words, actions from other people. Those that weren't able to take responsibility for themselves. And, let me reiterate, it's not as though somebody is purposely saying, I want to, mess up my child's life, so I am going to purposely hand off to them this yuck. When I go back and process and I think about my parents, I wish I knew more about their lives than I do, but from what I do know about my parents' upbringing, they each had quite a bit on their shoulders by the time they got into adulthood as well. So it could have been that they themselves were already carrying so much stuff that they didn't know better than to just kind of offload onto me or onto my siblings or other people around them. They didn't do it with the intent of hurting us. I think it's just something that we do, some of us do as humans when we're carrying so much. So by having that, just by being consciously aware of that, I knew that I needed to change my truth, that I needed to be more present, more consciously aware of times when, geez, is this something that, am I just kind of offloading my stuff onto my kids? And I'm sure I have. I know I have. But I tried to become more consciously aware. One of the things that I would do, and I think I recognized this more once they were 10, 12, in that ballpark and up is when I started to really recognize this. So if maybe I was having a really bad day and then my kids got into some type of an argument, I would find myself reacting rather than responding to the situation because I'm already so fueled with whatever emotions from my workday will say that it's just one more thing piling on top of all of this angst or whatever it is that I'm feeling. So I was trying to teach myself this process of as soon as I can acknowledging. So maybe, it happened a few times where I would just kind of, dump onto my kids with my stuff. Like, it wasn't just about them arguing. The stuff from my day came out with it that I put onto them. So I would try and, okay, fine. I recognize afterwards, I learned to start apologizing to my kids. So if I did this, I try to recognize that it was inappropriate, that my reaction was not appropriate to what the original situation was with them. So I would go to them and apologize and explain my situation. But I also knew that I don't believe in hollow apologies. So simply by apologizing, I knew that it was my responsibility to try to stop the behavior. So eventually, it took so many times of that. And then maybe I would catch myself right in the act of just kind of offloading and then catching myself before it happened. I could feel myself starting to react and I would catch myself. And oftentimes what I would do is give myself a timeout. And I would tell the kids, listen, I'm going in my room, I'm closing the door, I need to just breathe. And they knew not to knock on the door unless somebody really needed 911 or something. And then when I went into my room, I did some deep breathing exercises, just kind of calm myself down, like the 10-second rule, take a deep breath, count to 10. We want to try to respond rather than to react. So then when I was in my room, I would try to separate the emotions that I had from my work day and then the situation that was going on with the kids. And then I would bring my temperature down, I would calm down, I would, in essence, compartmentalize, set this over to the side for the workday, and then address the kids appropriately for what was going on here. And there were times where I felt like, wow, with all this stuff going on, I just don't have time for like this childish stuff. And in my room, as I am putting things into perspective, to them, that's part of their life, at those ages. So, I had to bring myself into the reality, into being present within that moment, and then again, responding appropriately. And then I could go back and deal with what the emotions were for my workday. So that's one way in which I try to learn how to respond again rather than react. Because I know what it's like to be carrying around the burden of others, the burdens that others have given me. It weighs on the soul. It's like this skewed perspective. The boxes build them out. Everything is here. And then we start looking at life, trying to see around the boxes, trying to see around all this baggage we've been carrying. So we're not looking at life head on. We're seeing it from this skewed perspective. I'm going to ask for you, if it feels right for you, or those that this feels right for them, start letting go of some of this stuff so you can see life clearer. You can see life as it's straight ahead of you. To be more present. To learn how to respond when you're in that moment. Now, as we are holding on to their stuff, as we are releasing their burdens or the stuff that no longer serves, as I mentioned, it's like this foreign substance, because the soul knows that their energy doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong there, and yet I'm carrying it. And I'm not completely done dropping these boxes or this baggage, but I have let go of so much of it. When we get to that point, as we're saying, okay, you know what, I can hear these words in my mind, I'm releasing them. You can scan your body. Where am I holding on to the energy of you don't deserve? Or you were this, or you were that, when you know that it isn't yours. Those words aren't yours. The truth isn't yours. When you scan your body, you may feel your stomach in a knot. You may feel that your throat is closed because you were unable at that age or in that situation to be able to speak your truth, to stand up for yourself. So when I see things like this, when I'm scanning through my body, it may even be my toes or my fists are clenched. So I will go to that place and I'll imagine if it's my throat, and now all of a sudden I'm not 5 anymore. I'm 48. So even though, maybe it was a confrontation, maybe my parents said something and I didn't know that, there's no way I could have talked back to them anyway. But now as a 48-year-old, as I'm going back to that memory, I can feel my throat. I set the intention, my throat is opening, and I imagine going back to that memory and having a conversation with that parent or the situation and speaking my truth. So at least in some form, I'm able to get the energy out of my throat that I've been holding on to. There are times where I just feel like I'm scooping in the energy of that particular memory, that particular situation, and I'm getting it out. I'm releasing it from my soul. I recognize that this energy, it no longer serves me, and that it's been holding me back from the life that I've wanted. It has weighed me down. And in essence, what I have done, unbeknownst to me, is I have given away my power in those moments, because I'm holding on to somebody else's energy. I'm not speaking my truth. I couldn't. But today I can. Today in the moment, I can learn to respond respectfully and place my hands up as I'm not taking that. It isn't mine. If somebody says something to me today, I will contemplate it. Is there a nugget of truth in there? And if so, I will take time and spend time with that. Is this something that maybe I need to adjust? Or am I comfortable with this under the context and the situation? And if it's just simply because somebody is going through a rough time in life and they're responding to me, it isn't my truth. I get to let it go. I get to let it go. And I tend to even send them emotional wellness and love, because there is something within them. And maybe it's the load that they've been carrying, that it's just too much for them. So then they just start offloading to other people because they don't know any better. So this isn't about, it isn't about blame. It isn't about not taking responsibility. It's being consciously aware of people's words that are not your truth. So you can get busy to start learning what your truth is. And if you find that there are certain characteristics or some things about you that you don't necessarily like, you can change what your truth is. So maybe this is what my truth was, but I have come a long way, and now my truth is this. I have healed and learned and grown and evolved, and now this is my truth. We get, if we choose, we get to evolve. We've all made mistakes. I think every one of us can think of something where we feel guilt or shame or embarrassment over. It's something that we can reach out and maybe ask for forgiveness. And oftentimes people are like, I don't even remember it. but I felt so guilty. I've been carrying it. Or the person doesn't even remember that they said or did something to us. Why do we hold on to that? Why do we carry that kind of weight? If there is a lesson in the midst of it, ask, what is the lesson from this? What am I supposed to learn from this exchange? Why am I carrying this with me? How can I lighten my load? And I'm telling you, if you open yourself up to the process, you're going to get the answers. Just be open to them. Get the energy off. And likewise, as we are, just strapping things off onto other people, they're holding on to our energy. It's not feeling right or fitting with their soul because, again, it's like this foreign substance. It doesn't belong in their soul. And when we take the time to say, wow, I wonder how many people have a little piece of my energy over the last 48 years of my life, we can slowly, at the times where it feels right, to start calling our energy back, to start sending back energy of others. Or in some of the cases, this stuff, I don't want to send it back to my mom and dad. They're gone now anyway, but apparently they had enough of their own that they had to carry. So I just send it into the earth. Sometimes I just give it up to God. I know some people hand it over to the angels or to Jesus, whatever feels right for you. The main thing is you are offloading, not onto others. You're recognizing it doesn't serve anybody. Get rid of it. Let go of it. Allow your soul to feel and be lighter. Where, I kind of see is that all these things, this baggage, all this stuff that we are carrying, it suppresses things within us, like the good stuff in us. So sometimes, it helps us to react rather than to respond because there's so much built up. There's all this angst or all this emotion, whatever it is. When we are offloading, then we're more in a state of calm, a state of peace or contentment, or maybe we can even enjoy love, joy, excitement more because it's like, the energy of the soul has room to kind of spread out. So the joyful experience from, 27 years ago or 7 days ago just gets to kind of spread out in my soul. And I can feel the energy of those memories more so than the stuff from the past. So, if you can find a place of, forgiveness for yourself, forgiveness of others, but to be able to let go of things that no longer serve you, let go of the baggage you're carrying. Start seeing life clearer, more head on, from a place of I'm going to respond rather than to react. Allow your soul to feel in the glory of that, the light, both in the light, the divine light within you, and also as far as the weight goes. Let it go. And I do these videos because I know I'm not the only person out there who has felt weighted down by life. I know not everybody is going to see things the way that I see things. And I don't even, when I'm doing these videos, I don't expect people to just say, oh, Tish said so, so this is what I'm going to do. If something that I say, if there's one little nugget of information that gets you to search, to seek within, that gets you to maybe talk to a mental health professional, sit down with a counselor, a therapist, to work your way through, there is so much pain and suffering in the world. And I feel like the more that we have in our souls, it's like we are filtering the way that we see things, the way that we speak through this filter of our own pain and suffering. And the more that we can release that, the more, at least for myself, I have found that I could speak through a filter more often through love than from heartache, from joy than from fear. So if something in here just kind of nudges you to get you moving, get you maybe started on your healing journey or to restart you on your healing journey, then that's wonderful. And I wish you all the best in the days and years ahead. If you have any questions about this video, please feel free to contact me. Email info@soulspirational.com, my website, soulspirational.com. So until next time, thank you, be well, and namaste.